Hey, Read Through the Word. Today is January 21st, and I'm so glad to be with you as we continue our readings through the book of Job. And it's just so much. There's so much for us to talk about, and it is, as always, I have such a hard time. The hardest time is picking which part, just one little part we're going to talk about out of all of our reading. And then, honestly, it's been the hardest part for me is keeping my discussion short like this in our short little videos. So, because I would sit here and talk about this with you all day. So, just getting all of this together and deciding which way we're going to go with Job. So, for today, I want to look at the question of Job, what Job's asking right here. And then I want to look at sort of tell you where we're headed over the next few days with me as I continue with you in Job. What we're really looking at today is the question of Job, and we're going to continue to show you some things I want you to look at while you're reading, as far as that you're actually reading a book of wisdom literature, and we'll discuss that in the next few days. And then we're also going to look at with friends like these, who needs enemies, and things like that as far as a big picture of Job, and then narrow in on a couple of things. So where I want to begin today is in Job chapter 10 verse 1. It says this: "I'm disgusted with my life, let me complain freely, my bitter soul must complain." So Job's which rightly so is in a bad place right now, as everything's happened to him, and he's lost everything, and he's feeling horrible. He's in a bad place. And so we're looking at the question of Job. What's it like to question God? And I think we need to put some perspective on this and some great understanding, and we're going to take this idea of question and look at it a couple of different places in the Bible and see that what the truth is we're looking at right here. So first thing I want us to look at is that Job is at this place where he feels God is silent. We've all been there. To say you've not is a lie. That you've been at a place and you say, "Why, God? Why? I've done everything right. I've been good. I've served you in the church. I've done this. I've done that. And why isn't my life perfect? Why are things going bad?" I remember asking that question after the birth of my second child. We had some traumatic birth experiences and some other things that have led us to a different life than I thought I'd have as a mother, and that I thought my child would have. And I remember laying in the bed at the hospital and saying, "What have I done, God?" I remember asking it. What I do? What am I being punished for? What did I do? Let me tell you, I was a whole different place in my walk of faith as well. But I cringe that I said that now, because that's not how God works, and we're going to talk about that. But what we're going to see is God's silence with Job is to teach him something he would learn through the experience that he would never learn had God been talking to him the whole time. I've told y'all before, last year when I talked about some things in the Bible, that God is the perfect teacher. He teaches us things about himself through his word, the written word. If we're not learning those things, he'll take us through the field trip of life. Some of you are like that. You have to go on the field trip to understand something. He knows that about us. Job's going through the field trip. Not to learn about himself, but to learn about God. See how we always flip that, even in life. Just like me. It wasn't about me. It's what I was supposed to learn about God through a circumstance that he allowed in my life. And we'll see that. But a couple of things I want us to look at is that Job realizes the question he's asking. Why is this happening? Why? The question he's asking, he said, I understand I'm different. If you go back up into chapter 9, verses 32 and 33, he says, I know I'm not like you, God. I know I'm not like him. If there were only someone who could understand me and understand God, if I could just have a mediator. Oh, here we go, y'all. Told you, Jesus. See, this idea that we need someone who understands the frailty of man, but the majesty of God to intercede on our behalf, to fix the problem that's between us. And that's what you're going to, that's part of what Job's asking is, I understand I'm not like you, God. And I can't ask you these questions, but I want you to understand. And he said, I just need somebody that could do that. So go back and look at those verses too. The problem is, he doesn't understand what's going on in his life. He does not understand why he's going through all of these things, what in the world has happened. And he goes to the people around him that we're in the middle of reading. He goes to the people around him to look for answers. And that's what he does. And what he learns is to reframe his thinking. By the time spoiler alert, by the time you get to the end of the book of Job, he learns to reframe his questions and to reframe the way his brain thinks, taking every thought captive. It's not just a New Testament teaching. It is the teaching of the entire Old Testament as well. We're thinking about things wrong. I've said this before, and you'll hear me say it quite a few times as well, more, that it's really not coming to the Bible or to God to get all the answers. It's learning how to ask the right questions. And Job learns that here. God gives him a good talking to and helps him. But I want you to see this whole idea of asking God a question is really how we frame the question, how we think in our hearts and what's going on that says, do we do this? Because we have this idea, I can't question God at all. I can't, no, that's not. You can't question the character of God. That's sin. And we'll talk more about that when we get to 10 Commandments. But it really is okay to not understand. To not understand. You'll see this a few other times. Habakkuk, Job and Habakkuk mirror each other so much. And that's what I really like to look at. And then this idea of question. So I want you to think this idea of Job, this idea of question, and look at two New Testament questioners. Okay, both of them occur in Luke chapter 1. One is Zechariah. So you know about Zechariah and Elizabeth. They're the parents of John the Baptist. Zechariah is serving on the Day of Atonement in the temple as the high priest, presenting the incense before God, and the angel appears to him and tells him, you're going to be parents. And he says, that's not possible. That's not possible. And immediately, he cannot speak anymore, will not speak again till he gets to the birth of John the Baptist. And when he writes his name is John, his mouth opens, he's able to speak again. So there's that question. Right after that, in Luke 1, you see Mary. Mary, the mother of Jesus, is visited by the angel named Gabriel, and Gabriel will tell her that she's going to be the mother of the Son of God. Mary also asks a question. Mary says, okay, I know where babies come from. I don't understand how this is going to happen. And the angel explains to her how she'll be overshadowed by God Most High, and the Holy Spirit will come upon her, and that's how she will become pregnant. So Zechariah's question, when you go read it, his question is to question the character of God. Mary's is a question of understanding. I don't understand. And then God clarifies this. And you have Job. Job's question is not that God's wrong in anything God's doing. It's, I don't understand. I don't understand God. I don't. And that's when we learn to reframe that question to not understanding and reframe our thinking. What am I learning through this circumstance about God that I would not learn in any other way? I've been through those experiences in my life. There's a lot of you going through them right now with comments of prayer requests I'm seeing. You're going through those circumstances that would ask us, are we questioning the character of God, how he acts with his people, or not understanding what's going on? You see, there's two different questions, two totally different questions. And it's really okay to not understand. You see that in Mark chapter 9, when the man who has his son healed by Jesus. And Jesus is like, all you need to do is believe. He says, I believe. Help my unbelief. I don't understand. I believe you, God, but I don't understand how this is going to happen. I don't understand. It's the same thing. So reframing the question and then reframing our thinking. If we were to yet think, I think where Job's going to get with this is, there is nothing that comes to me that does not go through the hand of God to get to me. Helps us to understand. The question really is, do we understand who God is and how he works? Because that will reframe the question and reframe our thinking. And I hope you remember that as we continue through the book of Job. And I'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.